So what's up, YouTube? So this is another update for March 19th, 2022. Check out my last two videos that I posted, which is on the quarterly stimulus checks that are being proposed between federal and state. California already proposing $400 per month or a one-time thing, not sure, but at least 400. And that's the case for 3 months. Based on federal, that's $1,200 on top of your refund. Stimulus checks possible of up to $1,110 from the federal government. So right there, that's at least one $2,300 for this year so far. Plus, let's say your refund also. So check out the latest two uploads, and I would appreciate it. Give me a sub, give me a like. I already have 31 followers. I'm trying to get up to at least 40 if possible. So let's do this. Now on today's video. Now mind you, some of the stories are old. I apologize. I haven't uploaded like major stories. I still have one more after this one, and then I can start all new ones from the stuff that I've been getting from. But in this one, we're talking about eviction moratorium, which is pretty much gone. But anyway, eviction moratorium, housing boom. So the Supreme Court won't be weighing in on whether the all-mail draft is constitutional, at least for now. A major blow to oil and gas giants. Alzheimer's breakthrough. Dead and buried. New lease on life. Can't hold them. Texas can't hold them. Kindergarten enrollment. Sorry, folks. Parks are closed. The moose out from should have told you. I'll explain that story. Please proceed to the second robot. eBay dumps PayPal. We already know that, thank God. Woke Coke. No girls allowed. Banning ornamental grass. Unemployment payments dry up. We already know that. The fix is in. And on the environment, this one I really did some good stuff on this one. Put away that spray can. And on YouTube, well, do YouTube, YouNow. Yeah, I really didn't preface that one. But on YouNow, hashtag me at BGAABO if I have the user right on YouNow. I will be live later on YouNow. I'm at level 21. Have like 570 fans, I think. So far it was awesome. I'm trying to get back to 2000k so I can be creator and hopefully a partner. So that'd be cool. And I will be posting on Instagram. I do post a lot on Instagram. I don't do much as lives. Might do YouTube live at some point again. But I have to do that on a secondary site that I use. But we'll see. We'll see what happens this year. Playlist is still a possibility, but I don't think that's going to happen this year. Hopefully next year or a year later. The next 2 years. So we'll see. So this one's going to be eviction moratorium. Alright, so as expected, the Supreme Court has been asked to weigh in on the eviction moratorium. A group of landlords used the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention for the eviction moratorium that was put in place during the pandemic to prevent evicting people who could not pay rent due to business shutdowns or lack of work. They won their case, but the CDC and the Biden administration is appealing the case and asked the Washington court for a stay, meaning that the evictions could not proceed until further challenges were being mounted. The stay was granted, so even though the landlords won the case, they still cannot evict until the other side appeals. Now they've asked the Supreme Court to rule on the eviction ban. They state that the ban exceeds government power. Mm. There is no guarantee if the court will take the case, but if they were betting on it, we would bet that they will, as long as we are placing bets. We also put odds in favor of them ruling in favor of the landlords, according to the story. Now another story about McDougal's. Would you miss the drive-thru attendant if they were gone? McDonald's is betting you won't. The restaurant chain is experimenting with automated drive-thrus that use voice ordering technology. You speak your order into the screen. McDonald's says that this system has 85% accuracy, which is about the same as humans to human system we've already got. McDonald's has also experimented with automated cooking, such as fryers, grills. Could they one day be run human free? The voice detection drive-thrus will be tested in 10 Chicago restaurants, and if it doesn't frustrate the holy heck out of customers, they'll go forward and roll out nationwide, big if there. Sorry, oh, got it. The Keystone Pipeline project is dead now. The energy company that had been developing the oil line and the Alberta provincial government both confirmed this on Wednesday. This was proposed to be a content spanning oil pipeline to deliver 830,000 barrels of oil per day from Canada to the Gulf Coast. Environmentalists have been fighting this project, pointing out that it is not the time to double down on fossil fuels and disrupt natural environments along the way. They will now turn their fights towards other Canadian oil pipeline. The writing was on the wall from day one of the Biden administration when the president revoked the project's permit. The Canadian government has already invested 1.1 billion in the project, and it will now explore ways to recover the cost. Federal judge. Did I put? Sorry, I want to see something. federal judge has blocked the Biden administration's suspension of new oil and gas leases. This is temporary, but a setback for the president's agenda to slow climate change by weaning of its oil and gas. A lawsuit was filed by 13 state attorney generals after the administration halted new oil and gas leaks. The case is by no means closed, but a judge granted a preliminary injunction, meaning that the administration has to stop blocking new leases while the case is further tried. The states argue that the president has overstepped his executive order, and this will not cost them jobs and money. Lawyers for the administration argued that no existing leases were affected. The new law was intended to explore the long-reaching effects of each new oil and gas project. The new law was intended to explore. Sorry. You know, think it through a little before just granting lease to the detriment of the planet. The judge said no to that idea. The new leases can be granted while the state proceeds. This thing keeps jumping. Alright, so on to eBay. eBay will no longer allow users to pay one another with PayPal, according to new terms of service. That this is an unexpected move given that eBay has owned PayPal since 2002, and the two have been cozy buds ever since. In my opinion, I'm glad PayPal is separated from eBay because they're both confusing. Now, eBay users will have to pay one another directly through the site. Buyers can still pay with PayPal, but sellers will receive direct deposits into their account, not routed through PayPal. Many users are upset about this because they don't quite trust eBay with the bank information because payments will now take 2 days to arrive in accounts. eBay says that they are doing this to eliminate the PayPal fees charged to sellers. Housing prices are at an all-time high worldwide. Average prices for homes jumped 7.3% in the first quarter of 2021, which is the fastest growth quarter in 2006. Surprisingly, home prices in the U.S. were not the fastest rising, if it feels that way. At the top of the list is Turkey, where prices jumped 82%, followed by New Zealand at 22.1%. Increase the U.S. is fifth in price jump at 13.2%. Governments are trying to stem this growth. In New Zealand, the government removed tax incentives for property investors. All of this is to prevent what experts to say could be a bubble. That's the word you never want to hear after you are talking about the environment. Not a bubble, anything but a bubble. Yeah. I was hoping you would be neighbor. I was hoping you would have been quiet. So on to CocaCola. A county in North Carolina has banned all vending machines that sell Coca-Cola because of the company's stance on voting laws. The all Republican community county commissioners and uh, Surrey County voted 3-2 to remove the vending machines in offices because the company has spoken out about voting restriction laws in Georgia. Quote, the left wing in America, they defund, they boycott, they cancel, they tear down statues, all sorts of injurious actions, said Ed Harris, a county commissioner. So they'll show them it isn't something that Coke is not. It's something that Coke is banned not for the health risk but for its politics priorities. Exactly half of the U.S. states are ending the extra $300 unemployment payment that was approved due to the pandemic. Maryland became the 25th state to announce the end of its checks. All the states that have ended this payment have Republican governors who have echoed their party budgetary concerns. Governor Larry Hogan says that the money did what it was supposed to do when times were tough, but now vaccines and jobs are in good supply. Indeed, companies have struggled to hire fast enough to keep up with the economic recovery, but jobs have still gone unfilled. GOP leaders are concerned about paying people more while they are out of work, while there are opportunities to work. Unemployment workers can still get regular benefits. It is just the added 300 is ending, and it will end at different times around the country. In Maryland, it will end in September. Okay, I screwed up on that one. The FDA approved the use of a drug called Aduhelm, Aduhelm, to treat Alzheimer's disease. This is the first new Alzheimer's drug to market in nearly 2 decades. The drug is said to reduce amyloid proteins in the brain. Amyloids use dark, sticky substances that attack the brain and contribute to Alzheimer's. There are many neurotoxins associated with amyloid buildup, such as environmental toxins, processed foods, head to the trauma, but once amyloids invade the neurological system, they have been near impossible to stop until now. Biogen developed this therapy to fight back and remove amyloids, but doctors say this may not be very effective in patients where the disease is advanced. This could help a lot of people with early onset Alzheimer's, but it won't come cheap. The Wall Street Journal estimates that it could cost up to $10,000 in out-of-pocket costs to patients. Biogen's stock was up 38% on Monday after this news. Okay, I was just placed in the wrong spot. The High Court declined Monday to hear a lawsuit brought to Biden's rights group that alleged only requiring men to register for the draft amounts to discrimination based on sex background. The U.S. Military hasn't drafted anyone since the Vietnam War, but men 18 through 26 years old still have to register for the selective service system or face consequences such as losing access to federal financial aid for college. A lawsuit from a group known as the National Coalition for Men, with backing from the American Civil Rights Union, agreed that the 1981 Supreme Court ruling upholding that all male that the all-male draft was no longer valid since all combat jobs are now open to women. A federal court ruled in 2019 that all-male draft was unconstitutional, but an appeals court overturned that the ruling last year, prompting that the plaintiff's unsuccessful bid for Supreme Court to hear the case. Kicking a Congress, writing in support of the decision not to hear the case, 3 justices said Monday they were deferring to Congress on this issue. But the justices indicted that they were open to hearing the case if Congress fails to act. Quote, it remains to be seen, of course, whether Congress will end gender-based registration under the Military Selective Service Act, but at least two for now. The court long-standing deference to Congress on matters of national defense and military affairs cautions against granting review while Congress actively weighs on the issue, wrote Justice Sonia Sotomayor, previous judge, who was joined by, or current judge, who was joined by Justice Stephen Breyer and Brett Kavanaugh. What will Congress do? A commission created by Congress to examine the draft and other aspects of the National Service recommended last year women to be required to register. Lawmakers did not include the commission's recommendations in last year's defense policy bill, saying that they hadn't enough time to review them. But the state Armed Services Committee held a hearing on the Commission's final report in March, followed by the House Armed Services Committee last month. The House panel previously voted in 2016 to require women to register during debate over that year's defense bill, but the provision was later stripped from the final version of the bill in favor of creating the Commission to study the issue. For YouTube and you now, I wouldn't have a fucking brain or frame of mind. Separate story. So no girls allowed. The Supreme Court will not take up the case to decide if women should be drafted to the war. This was based on an appeal by the National Coalition of Men. The men who brought the case were arguing that men-only draft requirement was sex discrimination and violated the constitutional right to equal protection under the law. A lower court already ruled against these men, and the Supreme Court deferred any changes to Congress. In a statement, Justice Sonia Samora wrote that the court has a long-standing deference to Congress on matters of national defense and military affairs and will not grant review of this matter while Congress actively weighs in on the issue. There has not been a draft since 1972, knock on wood. Given the extreme drought on the West Coast, maybe it's time to rethink lawn care. This is exactly what the state of Nevada is doing. This may come as a surprise, but the grass is not native to Nevada. The decorative lawn was born in England, where precipitation is not a problem like it is in Nevada. The reservoir that is created by the nearby Hoover Dam is currently 63%, empty at the time, and the shortage is threatening nearby farmland and city supplies. According to the proposal law, all non-functional turf would be banned. That applies to grass that is not in use, such as grass at office parks, streets, medians, entrances to housing developments. Experts say this law would reduce water consumption by 15% and save about 14 gallons per person per day. Homeowners, parks, and golf courses could still keep their grass, meaning 60% of the current lawns can stay up for now. Homeowners A recent study shows that more than one-third of the world's heat deaths can be attributed to climate change. Researchers studied 782 cities between the years of 1991 to 2018 and found that 37% of the heat-related deaths were due to the worsening climate. That amounts to 9,700 per year, most of them in South Africa. In the U.S., this totals 1,100 deaths per year, with New York in the lead with 141 deaths per year. This isn't awesome news going into the summer with record heat predictions. Exactly half the U.S. states are ending the extra 300. A new study shows that pesticides are destroying the world's soil. Really? Soil is a living, breathing ecosystem that supports plants, life, and humankind. But we've dumped so many chemicals into it for the sake of growing food faster and cheaper, and our soils are hurting. The study looked at published work and soil experiments and found that in 70% of those experiments, pesticides were found to harm organisms that are critical to maintaining healthy soils, harms that currently are never considered in the EPA's safety reviews. Soil that is biodiverse should have worms, beetles, and other bugs and species, but there is a decline of these creatures, and pesticide companies and regulations have ignored this. Popular to it's popular to worry about these bees these days, but we should also worry about the bug's life. Power grids are out in Texas as the summer heat has maxed out electricity capacity. Now people in Texas are being asked not to use their ovens or washing machines because the grid cannot handle it. It is not even 6 months since the state power failures due to extreme cold apparently can't handle extreme heat either. Texas is the only state to have its own unregulated power grid. Its ineptitude is not news to those that run it. Residents are asked not to set the thermostats below 78 degrees, to close their drapes, blinds, and unplug non-essential devices throughout at least June 18th. Amazon has just been sued by the Attorney General in the District of Columbia for antitrust pricing. The suit claims that the Amazon forbids third-party sellers from offering low prices on other websites and charges the sellers up to 40% of each sale in fees, thereby allowing Amazon to build and maintain monopoly power in violation of district law. The suit claims D.C. Attorney General Carl Racian is the first to file antitrust suit, by other state agencies have made other complaints. The suit asks the court to prohibit these practices and break up the company if necessary. Amazon refutes these claims and says that Racian has it exactly backwards. The company claims that sellers set their own prices and the suit could result in higher prices for customers. A Dutch court ruled that Shell has to slash emissions by 45% by the end of 2030. This is a much faster cleanup than the company had planned, and it puts the heat on other companies to follow suit or else. The court found that Shell had helped drive dangerous climate change and acknowledged the plaintiff's claim that Shell was responsible for 3% of the global emissions. Shell had its own plan to reduce emissions by 20% by the 2030 and be net zero emission by 2050, but the court says that's still not good enough. On the same day, Chevron investors demand the company cut emissions in a shareholder meeting, and ExxonMobil had a board shakeup with environmentally concerned execs taking 2 seats. Up to now, the world has let companies set their own emission goals, and that was cute, like letting our kids set their own screen time limits. This ruling shows that those days are ending, and Shell will appeal the verdict. Educators are preparing for what they say will be the biggest kindergarten class ever this fall. This is because many families decided to sit out the last school year, partially for little ones. We can relate. So this is a pretty sad. So some of these stories actually are from a YouTuber that I follow. So when I say kids, husband, wife, that's from him, without saying the name. So um, we can relate, quote, our youngest is 4 and didn't thrive with distance learning. Mostly she opted out. Oh, okay, maybe somebody else. She opted out of virtual circle time and sat with us eating apple slices loudly next to our ears while we wrote this newsletter. Okay. We were hoping and praying to any and all don't know that word, that her kindergarten year has more normalcy. So, a report out from Rutgers found that 54% of the 4-year-olds participated in preschool during the pandemic, compared to 74% before the pandemic. Fewer children went to kindergarten as well, since kindergarten is not required in most states. Enrollment for kindergarten was down 9% in the state of Kansas alone. A district in Minnesota estimates that the incoming kindergarten class will be 22% bigger than last year. Now schools are rushing to hire kindergarten teachers and find more space as enrollment bounces back. Maybe Arnold Schwarzenegger should be available, hence kindergarten. Sorry folks, the parks are closed. The moose out front should have told you. Anyways, we're sorry to inform you that national park vacations are not an original idea this year. In fact, national parks are overrun by people who might have thought this was a safer way to travel in the twilight of the pandemic. National parks are reporting people waiting in hours long lines in their cars just to get through the gates, presumably with running air conditioning. According to the Wall Street Journal, last week a wildfire spread because of a man-made campfire was left unattended. The towns around these natural reserves are happy to welcome the tourism dollars, but frustrated with the graffiti, trash, illegal parking habits of newcomers. Sadly, there's not enough park staff to keep up. The Biden administration has proposed a budget increase for state parks, which could bring back 1,000 employees. This does not sound like a fun vacation. If you do get stuck in any of these hellish lines, might we suggest the our children are oh anyways their kids is potty training, but we will still keep this in the car for emergencies. Okay, that didn't happen. I'm not talking about that. But the idea is, so next vacation plans are to uh, do a live stream with hashtag Littlefoot on Instagram. Please follow her. Tell her I sent you. Um, that we want to do. I want to do a live stream in Fresno with a friend of mine, and I also have her live stream with me on you now. That way she can talk to her brick fam, since she can't use you now right now. Her account's blocked, which sucks. She's really cool, big supporter. But so hopefully we'll see what happens. Sometime in August that might happen. We'll see if I have the money to travel down there. So we'll see what happens. I'll have maybe 2 weeks to do what I want within reason, and and possibly vlog in a hotel down there, depending on prices at the time. So yeah, stay tuned. I'll keep you updated on okay, I don't have that. Vacation vacation stimulus, gas rebates, you know, fun stuff, right? Sorry if I messed this one up. I didn't realize how I posted it. Just, you know, pretty much that copy and paste stories, even though they are real stories. Trust me. But anyways, if you like this upload, hit me up. Give me a subscribe. I'm at 31 followers, and I'm looking at least another 9 more if possible. So we'll see what happens. Subscribe, fan, like, share my last 2 vids. Um, they're really good news instead of bad news. And I'll see you on the next video.